Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the HaloRuns podcast. And this time we have our special guests here, so say hello.
Hey, chat. It is BatChat. I see you all. Rylan, David, Danos. Nice to see you. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, my history and several other topics, but I'll let Chronos and Sorix lead for most of it because we have some other things to talk about as well.
Yeah,
You
unfortunately,
guys.
yeah, Dubzo couldn't be here for this episode. We'll see when he's able to do our next host shenanigans. Also, thanks for the raid, Sinister. But yeah, I think what we'll do first is get started with discussing the Halo Runs Off Topic Marathon, which is happening starting tomorrow night. So we will go transition to this scene where you can see the schedule right here. We'll zoom in a bit just so everyone else can see a bit better. And yeah,
Yeah,
here's our schedule.
for those who don't know, the off-topic marathon is like basically marathon that's going on tomorrow for Halo speedrunners, with one special rule: no Halo speedruns allowed. So it's
I didn't see
basically
Halo Wars excluded from the list.
Yeah,
Halo Wars is allowed, right?
yeah, it,
I
it
think
would have been
it's just
allowed. Yeah,
yeah, it's just
uh,
nothing on Halo
like the
on
main
Halo
Halo
runs.
series games. Yeah.
Yeah.
type 1 in chat if you're part of this marathon. I want to know who's doing it.
But yeah, I guess we can just go through each run one by one, see how it goes, and then yeah. So the first run that we're starting off to kick off the marathon is a Super Mario 64 race, a 70-star race by Sloth and Sleek. That'll be pretty hype.
Yeah, I'm worried about this. I don't know how much they've been practicing, but SM64, that's a hard game.
Yeah.
And their estimate is their
It's an
estimate
hour
is
20.
generous, but it's not in like free, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see how it goes.
But
It might
either
be
way,
there might be some memes,
it'll
but
be
it's
a
gonna be
very
fun,
fun
I'm
run.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right after that, Sleek is also going to be running Amnesia: The Dark Descent, so that's a pretty fun game and category. I saw him practicing it the other day. Pretty nice. And then we have Pro Peace going to run 3 games:
The Pro
Bloodstained,
Peace block.
Bloodstained, Cursed of the Moon, Rygar, and Mega Man 9. And then Rylum will be running Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. That'll be a nice short run.
There's Rylam.
Classic game. Oh, that's only 10 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, it's very
That's
quick. Yeah.
and then we have
Sub Missile.
Boomer
Alert.
block.
Yeah, Sub
I
Missile.
shouldn't be talking.
He's running Project Lumoria, which is a Halo CE mod on
Technically
Legendary.
Halo CE, but it's a mod, so it's allowed.
Yeah,
Wasn't that
modded
record just
campaign.
about 40 minutes recently? Am I wrong? I have no idea.
Well, I saw him streaming it this morning, and his PB was 30 minutes something, and he said he had 5 minutes of time save. So
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
like
pretty cool, honestly, because of all the new CE tricks. Some of them made it into the run. Like, there's some Banshee teleports.
I'm excited to watch that because I didn't really see him finish a run. I just saw him like resetting in the first 5 minutes. So
the typical experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at midnight Central Time, we have Rep running Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. So that'll be cool. Very long, 3-hour run.
Yeah.
And then we have Seclusive running his beloved Top Gear Rally.
Yeah, humping wall simulator, but it's not Halo 2 Classic. Which I've promised to commentate with him that run, by the way. So it's gonna be like I'm gonna be in the marathon for like 4 hours straight.
Ooh.
Because I have 3 runs after that, straight after.
Jeez.
Yeah, and as Sorix said, he's going to be running 3 games in a row.
Yeah, been practicing a decent bit, honestly. I've been running a lot of Mirror's Edge recently, but I've derusted. I've had to derust Dishonored and Skyrim a bit because it's been a while since I played those. should be fun.
Yeah. And then we have Cordy Axis running Voodoo Vince. Very classic Xbox title. Then we have Fallen running Jurassic Park 2. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, that's like I never heard about this game before, but it's like I think it's SNES, or it's like an old school classic platformer. So if you're into those, that'll
Yeah.
be good.
Fallen's been practicing it recently too, so
Yeah,
that's pretty
seen him
nice.
streaming a lot.
Yeah. Then we have Mick Thumbs running Hotline Miami 2, so that'll be really cool to see. And then we have Blue Target running Call of Duty 4. That's really cool because Blue
yeah.
Target's former Call of Duty runner, and he came to HaloRuns, so that's pretty nice to see.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden as well.
Yeah.
In between those.
Oh, I skipped one.
By
Yeah,
I think he's Swedish. I don't know, but if he is Swedish, I think it's probably Poles. I don't know.
Yeah. Paulson started running CE fairly recently too, so it's pretty cool to see. New runner. Yeah. And then we have old school RuneScape free to play Champions Guild race.
Highlight of the marathon, honestly. Highlight of the marathon. You cannot miss this one.
I hope you guys
explain. RuneScape. This is gonna be some high octane speedrunning.
I hope you guys explain why the categories are the way that they are, because some of these just look so confusing.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what the heck that means.
Champions Guild?
Yeah. I'm a don't tell anyone, but I haven't played RuneScape.
No. Champions Guild, I'll give you the quick version. It's basically like you complete like a small amount of like the quest, like the early game quest, and you're allowed to go into the Champions Guild. And then after that there's the Heroes Guild, and then there's the Legends Guild and Myths Guild, but Champions Guild is like the lowest tier. So you can do it pretty fast.
Yeah, and RuneScape is a very long game. I mean, it's an MMO, so
yeah. I mean, there's a guy, there's a YouTube series going on a guy who's like speedrunning, like maxing all his stats, and it's not real time. He's doing it like in game time, so he like logs out and only plays a couple hours at a time, but it's still like a 800-hour run or something.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Pokemon Fire Red by Adversary and Kaizo Pokemon games. So that's gonna be intense.
Yeah.
Like Kaizo is just brutal. Whenever you hear Kaizo of anything, yeah, it's gonna be quite difficult. We'll see how that goes. Then we have Meg V going to run Freak Style. It's a pretty interesting racing game from what I recall.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we have Zero running Escape the Backrooms. That'll be cool. I know that that game has gotten pretty popular a few months ago or something, so that's interesting. Very interesting horror game. Then we have Blue running Half-Life, which I think is going to be really sick. Like if you haven't seen a Half-Life run, especially from Blue, who's like really good at Source games, I think, especially with
he's
all his
played a lot of CS.
Yeah. So his movement's pretty good. He does like a lot of surfing and stuff in that game, so it'll be really nice to see. Then we have Nervy running Dead Space. Dead Space remake.
Two fat runs at the end, I have to say.
Over 2 hours. 3 hours. Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Our last one.
Yeah, Alien Isolation by Sloth as well on Nightmare. Yeah, those two runs at the end are going to be really intense.
Yeah, Dead Space remake, like really new game, right? Just came out recently, and it's obviously, as often is the case, is like already broken as fuck.
Yeah.
Clipping through walls all over the place, and yeah.
Yeah, both of those games I think will be really cool to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically all of this will be happening starting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Time in the US. If you go to Horatio or hararo.org/hr off topic/marathon, you can see the schedule for yourself with your current time zone. So that's
This is why
pretty
I like
cool.
Chronos organizing a lot of these events, because he has the same time zone as me, so I just kind of screen peek.
True. Yeah, starting at 7 p.m. and then going to run all the way until like midnight. Link in chat. Sure. Here we go. Paste the link. And yeah, hopefully everyone enjoys. Big shout outs as well again to Wacky for restreaming all of this. He'll be sending out some runner info shenanigans to get set up and stuff soon.
And Scales paying for the server.
Yeah,
apparently.
definitely. Yeah, basically everyone else behind the scenes that's helping out, along with some people that are coming in to help commentate these runs. So
Yeah.
big shout outs to
And
them
shout
as
outs to
well.
all the runners, including myself, by the way.
True. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It should be a good time.
Yeah. So now let's get started with our main part right here and introduce BatChat. So
Main course.
here we
The
go.
entree.
We are going to have his
You're gonna
fun.
get a nice little infographic up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you just want to like maybe introduce yourself, I guess?
I will while
Yeah.
you're getting stuff up. So, hi everyone. I know a lot of you already know me. I've tried to peep in some of your chats recently, although I have been absent from a lot of them recently. But I'm just an all-around sort of speedrunner who's been a part of the HaloRuns scene since I'd say late 2014, early 2015, and so I've seen a lot of you guys come onto the scene, and it's really cool to see how many of you have stuck around. But you also might know me from my Halo 5 speedrunning. That's my main game. I didn't intend that to be my main game. It just sort of happened when that game came out. I stuck with it. Um, third best. Actually, Phobic just beat my full game legendary time, I think. So
Knocked out of the top 3, unlucky.
fourth best out of the 5 total speedrunners who've ever tried doing it. But top four. But you also might know me from the HaloRuns bulletin, which I ran back in 2017, 2018. We'll show some pictures of those at some point. I did some of the highlight video thumbnails. Basically, I like working with Photoshop, even though I'm not super good at it, but it's really fun messing with things. And my first goal when I started speedrunning was kind of like, well, at least after the first few months, I wanted to have top 5 Halo Run points. We all love the Halo Run point system, right? And not many people were multi-game running. So like at the time, like it was actually pretty rare compared to nowadays. So I thought, I can get number 1 or number 2, number 3 maybe, and just watch myself climb up the ranks. And I eventually got top 5 in 2017, but all you guys were slowly passing me. Yeah, Hobo, Pro Ace Joker were like the multi-game runners. Several others could do it, but they weren't really known for it. But I'll just go back to where I started speedrunning. So
out of curiosity, how many points was top 5 back then?
I do have an image of this. I believe number 1. There was only 1 or 2 people over 10,000, and I think at the time I was top 5. I might have been 8,000, and now what? We have people in the 20s.
Yeah,
I just checked, and top 23 is 10,000 plus. But there is more categories now, to be fair. But
yeah, HaloRuns points can be sort of overrated, but it can also be really fun to go for. So that was kind of a motivation. But I first got in. Walking back almost 6 months, I didn't really start getting introduced to Halo until I was 16, just playing Halo CE with my siblings on an Xbox that my dad's girlfriend at the time brought over. And I didn't start doing online multiplayer until Halo 4. I know, Halo 4 kid, right? And I got into like competitive discussion, like who is best. I was like, oh, who's this Walshy? Who's this Ogre 2? and I got really sucked in the final boss saga. So I was watching every single competitive game from like some guy made a spreadsheet or something, every recorded like competitive game from Halo CE all the way through Halo 3. And I got to about the start of Halo 3 when I discovered Mr. Monopoly on Twitch, which is kind of the story for a lot of the early Halo speedrunners, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because Mono was kind of I don't know, he was heading the charge on Twitch at least, and introducing a lot of people to the concept of Halo speedrunning. I mean, even Twitch and speedrunning was both not as big back then. It wasn't super small, but so then I got really sucked in. I saw, the Metropolis Scarab board with the grenade. I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. I can do that. It looks like I can do that. And you save a few minutes or something. I don't know. It just looked attainable and fun. And of course, Halo 2 is an amazing game. So
Like 10 seconds.
yeah, well, looking, if I'd known that then, maybe I wouldn't have gotten into it.
Yeah.
But I didn't really start actually speedrunning until like a while after MCC came out, because this was like summer. No, this was fall 2014. Oh, is this my gameplay?
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
good.
some of your gameplay on the screen.
Okay.
And
That's a nice
That's
touch.
not my strongest suit, but you all can watch it anyways. But so I mean, 2014 was kind of like a huge year for Halo speedrunning in general. I mean, I think HaloRuns as a website came out like January that year, or maybe Mono was at AGDQ. I don't know too much of like this pre me time, but and then that fall, of course, MCC comes out, a huge revision of all the Halo games, and Halo was kind of falling off. So here's a chance at making it the most popular game in the world again. And then we all know what happened, right? Or at least, I mean, some of the newer ones don't. But MCC launch was trash. You couldn't get into multiplayer games, and dare I say, that kind of drove more people to just playing the campaign. And it probably, like, all the people who could stream on Twitch were doing campaign. Otherwise, you were watching them sitting in a lobby. So that was kind of a accidental boon for the Halo speedrunning scene. But anyways, I started streaming in February, I think. I did a name change. Just like I wasn't BatChat until February 2015, because I mean, we all have our names. Some people still have their old names. I won't call anyone out. They might have their names. They might have their birth year in their name.
What was your name back then, if you don't mind?
No, I do mind.
Okay.
But I chose something from this other Tanks game I was playing, because I figured there wasn't a lot of crossover. It was a catchy nickname, 2 syllables. You wanna, yeah, I wonder who. It was just nice and catchy. So, and then I remade a Twitch account, YouTube account, all that shit.
If it makes you feel any better, my name back in the day was Magical Sniper. So on Call
Why'd
of
you
Duty.
change? I love that. Oh well. And I believe Sliding Ghost and Only on Tuesdays were in Mono's chat. I was just asking, like, should I start streaming, like, whatever. And so they're like, yeah, sure. And they watched some like crappy gameplay of me throwing a grenade, like launching the Ghost across the Delta Halo chasm by the bridge. And I don't know, I got a little addicted to it. So I was working my way through Halo 2. And then Halo 5 came out. I'm like, oh my God, I could be on the forefront of a Halo game. So I started really getting into that. And the Halo 5 thing just took off from there. And that's kind of mostly what I've been known for since. But the other thing that's really kept me around and that hooked me in the HaloRuns community was the relay races. And I want to say the first like real one that we know it as today was done like right on the eve of MCC launch, maybe a week or two before. And there were like 18 runners, 3 teams. A lot of people we'd recognize were in it. I don't have a lot of images from back then, but I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So that combined with the HaloRuns points, it's like, I want to be able to do all those games. And then plus you see people like Hobo and Joker who were doing all the games in a row and then racing it. Well, that was just the coolest thing too. So they had one right before MCC launched. They had one right before Halo 5 launch, and we'll go back into it then. But I've always wanted to be a part of the relay races, so that's a pretty important thing for me.
Yeah, and I mean, to this day, you're still part of every relay race, pretty much. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Technically have the
Yeah.
most attendances. I haven't looked. I know someone has a spreadsheet somewhere, but David is like nipping on my heels with the relay races, and one of them, I know I had to submit kind of a like a video because I couldn't make it at the last minute. It kind of
right,
sucked,
yeah,
but um, yeah,
Yeah.
most people around here only see me during the relay races because I don't stream that much.
yeah.
Yeah, I have the spreadsheet, and BatChat had the most by one, which is 11 relay race participation, like, times, while David is right behind him at 10. And I
Interesting
believe,
that like
yeah, yeah, everyone else is like 8 or less,
yeah,
surprisingly.
interesting that the Halo 5 runners, like the one of the well, not the newest game anymore, but one of the second newest game has the most attendance.
Yeah, dude, the Halo 5 community is pretty tight. There's been some pros and cons to that. Like some of the HaloRuns drama, we've been able to, just evade a little bit by people not coming in. But we're always hoping to get new people to run Halo 5, but it does have some more barriers to entry. So we get that.
Yeah.
But the relay races, well, one, there's not many other people who can do it. So, me and David have been doing it for a while. We've had a smattering of people for the first several, and then Phobic's been pretty reliable recently for doing relay races. So good on him. And he's the one who just beat me to get third place. Curses, and I think he's got third place on easy too. Maybe I don't know where I am there. But yeah. Oh, one more thing. So the one last thing that like really got me into the scene in general is how AGDQ is. Oh, heck if I know. It's somewhere on the East Coast usually, but SGDQ has been in Minneapolis, St. Paul since I started getting interested in it. I think it was in like Denver, maybe before, but it moved to St. Paul. I thought, oh my God, this is like an opportunity. This is right as I was getting in. So I went in 2015. I wore my Mr. Monopoly T-shirt. I couldn't find it for today. I would have worn it.
That
But yeah,
exists?
yeah,
Mr. Monopoly merch?
I know.
I
Believe it or not, I wonder how many are out there in the wild. Maybe he
it
has a
can't be
few
a lot.
extra in a box somewhere. If y'all want
I'd
to,
love to see a picture of that or something.
I'll have to
I've
get one.
never heard of that.
Yeah. So I wore that to SGDQ, and I watched Trihex runs. That's how I met Trihex, and then he saw me wearing it. He's like, "Yo, Mr. Monopoly!" So like he knew who. And Trihex was like one of the biggest speedrunning names too at the
Oh
time.
yeah.
So
Oh
it
yeah.
was so cool to see like, oh wow, he knows like the Halo speedrunning scene a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knew like Mono back then if they knew about Halo speedrunning.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And I've been to several GDQs since because it stayed in the Twin Cities. 2017, I believe Garish was running, although I didn't really meet up with Garish. And that's when I met Heroic Rob, now upgraded to Legendary Rob. And then 2019 Chronos, I think
Yeah.
you were running a game,
Yeah, I was
weren't you?
running Skyrim there. Yeah.
Yeah, doing stuff with horses. But so me, Rob, and Chronos,
Whoa, wait, what?
like twitching with horses. I don't know what you do with the horses in that game, but going fast. That's all I know. So GDQs have been pretty nice.
Yeah, it was fun meeting BatChat and Rob there at GDQ.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Speaking for myself as well, like obviously I going to GDQ is a bit more harder for me, but I live really close to ESA, which is like the European version. That definitely I've been to 3 now, I think, and that's definitely like a motivator for me.
It's great seeing ESA take off. I don't think that
Yeah.
was nearly as relevant until like again maybe like 2015, 16, or at least it
Yeah.
looked kind of sketch the few scenes I saw of it.
Yeah, it doesn't get as big of a viewership on Twitch, but in terms of attendance, it's pretty big.
Yeah, you guys. I know. Actually, I feel like a lot of the European speedrunners are almost like closer than
Yeah,
than in North America. At least y'all got to
yeah,
go.
it
Yeah,
could be.
ESA 2016. Also, that's awesome that you met Trihex at a Melee Major, Rylum. I kind of want to show, for those who don't know, some of the HaloRuns bulletin and some of the highlight video thumbnails I did, because this is how, I mean, if you weren't around in like 2017, 2018, this was kind of like a satire bulletin on stuff in the HaloRuns community. And usually it's walking a tight line with drama and not having too much drama. And I wouldn't release all of them again today. And I've even thought of doing some recently. You're always poking the bear at something a little, but you have to not go overboard.
Yeah,
Yeah, and in fact, I feel like a lot of the people I recognize that are still around today, I feel like they were joining right around this era. Um, the only person I see that I recognize that's a bit older has been, and I didn't mean older in that way, but like Subwhistle has been around longer than I have. So, um, but a
Yeah.
lot of these names, actually, Uzi Gorilla, you've been around, haven't you?
Yeah.
that's
I'm
an old
recognizing
name.
that name. Do we have any of those images we can show?
Uh, yeah, if you just send me them, I can show them on screen and stuff.
Yeah, I put them in the folder, but if you need a on Discord, but if you need an individual picture, I can send you one quick too.
I could just do this then. Okay.
The other thing with the how the bulletin worked was I tried to make it like the Onion, and obviously satirize current events, and it was best to do it right on the eve of like released, when everything's fresh in their mind. A lot of these pictures well, this was just showing that I got top 5 overall, but
Yeah, one
that's a
second.
bit of
It's
an
not on
ego.
stream yet.
Oh, good.
Okay.
It's a bit of an ego flex. Um,
Uh,
but I ran this bulletin for like 12 months, and these are the sort of community things I love. But I couldn't really maintain it. One, I'm not the best at Photoshop. Two, it's hard to draw the line between satire and poking too much sometimes. And also, three, I was like running out of ideas. Uh,
yeah,
I
BatChat
love
has done quite a lot of like Photoshop images and stuff, so pretty
if
cool.
if you haven't watched these highlight videos, you really should. Nothing like a sense of community than watching your fellow speedrunner just eat the can and just uh,
Yeah,
do silly things. And all of those thumbnails usually reference a clip inside that highlight video.
yeah.
Um,
Some I have been wanting to like start those like up again, but I don't know. It's always hard to motivate yourself sometimes.
yeah, I actually started. I just wanted to do like a glamour issue, just a one-off, but it was so popular. Oh yeah, we did have that. Dude, I mean, I'll talk about this more with the relay races, but it has like barely made it work every year. Or not, I mean, more recently it's been stable, but like there's been some years where we weren't sure we were going to have it at all. Uh so some of those are like current event stuff. Some is whatever. But eventually I stopped. These are pretty fun. If anyone wants to see most or all of them, I'll send them stuff. Just message me on Discord or something. I'm not sure if I'll do it regularly again because it did become a bit of a time sink. Not so much with like moving things around, but finding enough topics that were like relevant, properly satirical, all those things. And of course, you saw the highlight video thumbnails. Those are fun. I even started making a kind of a tutorial video on how I do those Photoshop things. I haven't released it yet, but maybe I should.
It looks like Sorix is frozen once
Yeah,
we go.
I tried to disable and enable. Should I try leaving the call maybe?
Sorix is just that's a good stationary
Sorry.
picture though. A little suspicious but inquisitive, glance to the side.
If I click hang up the call, is it gonna hang up for everyone or just me?
It'll just
I
be
didn't
you.
realize he was frozen until now.
Okay, I'm gonna try reconnect.
Yeah, Uzi was I remember you from Halo 3. The Halo 3 group back then was kind of definitely interesting. And it's also interesting how like different groups have become the center of their game over the years. I mean, heck, you've got a little friend group migrating from like ODST to Halo 4 and like Spot Ops and all that stuff. It's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, like you have so many of these images and stuff. Here's like the HaloRuns bulletin right here.
I still want those. I would love some individually wrapped HaloRuns points in real life.
I would like HaloRuns merchandise. That would be really cool.
Right. That gives me an idea. Can someone do a hold on? I don't know. I'll have to check in the legality of this. This will just remember. I don't know if that actually goes. Oh, it does go in. Nice. That's a note for me for later.
Yeah. Okay.
I also kind of want to talk, if you don't mind, about how like HaloRuns has just changed since I've been on.
Yeah, sure.
Just in general. I think most of us in chat have been around long enough where parts of it have changed, but just some of the things that I've like reflected on. Well, one, obviously, it started pre-Discord. Most people were getting into Discord in like 2015, 2016, and I think our servers started before before Halo 5 launch. I don't remember how many months, but if you ever go on the Wayback Machine and look at some of the HaloRuns forum posts, it's kind of a an organizational mess, so to speak. And like I feel like a lot of not well a lot of content, a lot of planning, organization, just talking just came through people's Twitch chats. Very word of mouth. It was a different way of communicating, and I think that's been the way for a lot of communities. I feel like Discord is kind of the primary gathering space for a lot of interest activities, especially everything in the game world. Oh, here's Dark. Here, find someone else that's been around longer than me too.
Hello.
About time. Hi, you're no longer frozen.
Yeah, I don't know what happening. I just reconnected my webcam and it seems to have fixed it.
Okay, give me a second.
And besides like streaming and the forums, I know people have all sorts of like Google Docs and they use Skype. It's actually kind of appropriate that Dark wandered in during this because I'm pretty sure he said he keeps talking about these like Skype stuff that I have no idea. I was too late for this stuff. I'm a late 2014 kid. But some of the Google Docs can float around sometimes. Like we'll track score runs, although it's not very competitive right now. Just other things. I think there was remnants of like high impact Halo, high speed Halo, all that, which a lot of it is obsolete now, of course. And there also wasn't co-op. This is where I feel like a lot of you guys started like shortly before co-op, at least in the grand scheme of, well, in my timeline, in my geological timeline. That was like a fall. Wasn't that like a winter 2018 thing?
I think that was like either winter 2018 or sometime in 2019, I want to say, for co-op.
Yeah, co-op was like a huge deal because people were like arguing about it for years before it got on. 2019, it could be. I mean, it didn't even like blow up right away. Well, the point system did, but
Yeah.
I actually have opinions on that. Yeah, it's always been kind of, well, actually since it launched, I feel like it hasn't been contentious. But the one of the like things people were worried about was points, just like here's a surplus of points. And also that it wasn't popular enough. And this is where the people who have said like make it and they will come, they have been right, at least for co-op. I feel like co-op has been way more popular since it's been on the HaloRuns website
Yeah, for sure.
than before. I know me and David were doing Halo 5 co-op runs before it was tracked anywhere, just because we enjoyed it. And unfortunately, the addition of co-op to HaloRuns.com has not really increased the amount of Halo 5 co-op runners, but those are for other reasons usually. But now you just get, all the people who are super good at their game getting a little ragtag team together and just taking records, taking names, uh, and it has its pluses and minuses. Some of the tricks are really cool in co-op, like especially if you watch Crow's Nest. Like that's my go-to example of like how cool co-op can be.
Yeah.
Although now I don't know if silo clip I don't know how much that changes the run. I forget that happens pretty late in it though, doesn't it?
I don't think it changes the co-op run at all.
Okay, that's good then.
Well, I mean, the co-op run does silo clip, but it changes
Yeah.
in the same way that solo does.
Yeah, you still get to see a lot of the neat co-op tricks throughout the run beforehand.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good. My sort of like, I don't know, hot take on the co-op that I don't like is that it is a little more of a who you know right now than like how good your run is.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, like you could just have the best runner and a friend who has played Halo before get a lot of records. And I want to say more recently that's finally like changing because the
Yeah.
records are getting more and more optimized, which is good to see. But
Yeah.
it makes it a bit difficult to join if you're not like
Part of like a group or something. Yeah.
part of a group, or if you
Yeah.
don't have the time to commit at the right hours. Thankfully, co-op's never been a huge part of my like career goal, so that's fine. But
Also, which continent you live on?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
dude,
uh,
me and David trying to play. I'm a little jealous. A zombie living in Florida, being probably
yeah, I
local.
mean, if you lie for the Australians.
Oh yeah, drinks
Although
out.
there are a decent amount of
I
Australians, so
think
I
Too
guess they can do it
Easy and
themselves.
like Seclusive, for instance, have done some
Yeah.
stuff. So
Unfortunately, it reaches
Mhm.
4 players, so.
Yeah. But overall, I do think that it would be nice to see a return to the split of solo and co-op points as well, and just like more focus on the solo points.
Yeah,
Just
co-op to me is more of like a casual thing, because like solo, most like what would you call it? Like serious runners
mhm,
focus mainly on solo, and then co-op is kind of like a fun thing to do
yeah.
on the side with your pals or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Um,
I mean, I wouldn't say it's casual like now, but I would
it's
definitely
definitely
say
more
it's like,
casual than solo though.
yeah, it's hard to say. It's like really
But
hard. I do know
yeah,
there's some
it is
dedicated
getting
co-op
more.
people
Yeah, it
that
is getting more
Mhm.
optimized, obviously, as well
Yeah.
that's like
as
another
time goes
thing
on.
that's changed hugely. I want to say is the level of optimization in every game. And you guys talked about this last week in like the progression of speed runs. Like
Yeah,
you look at an hour and a half legendary time from back then, but like look at it from today's perspective, it's like, well, that's so easy. Like there's so much time saved. You can die a couple times, you can beat that.
yeah,
But of course back then it was still hard. Uh, and of course new tricks and all that. But that's one thing I feel like I've noticed, uh, and I've been worried about over the last like few years is how optimized each IL and full game run has gotten, where people are using riskier and harder strats. But what's amazed me is it hasn't seemed to slow people down yet. Like the community is still really healthy,
yeah,
despite like how hard it is to get records now, and that's kind of amazing. But I forget if you talked a bit about, yeah, you did talk a bit about that um
yeah,
last
yeah.
week,
I mean, that's like the reality of it now. That the majority of people who start running are never gonna get a record because it's just that hard now.
right?
But I don't think that like is a demotivator for most people either.
No, I love it if it wasn't. Like honestly, like that's part of why I've been able to stick around for so long is I've been satisfied with being a little mediocre. Just trying to be a good, average player at all the games. But you all are so good. You're like leaving my strats behind. I'll learn a game 2 years ago, and it's completely different when I come back to it.
Yeah, maybe you could talk about a bit about that, like, because obviously you've put since Halo 5 came out, you put a lot of most of your focus into Halo 5, but you're also like you call yourself like a multi-game runner, right? Or
Yeah, that was
that's
my
kind of like one of your goals, right? Is
my
I think to do like a
yeah.
franchise run.
Yeah, it's been a goal. I've set I'm super I want to say I'm really good with not giving up on my goals ever, and I've been a bit shaky on this one, but one of the goals was to do every Halo game in a row. And that includes uh oh god, does it include Spartan Ops? I guess it might.
Oh boy.
I
I
didn't think
hope
about
not.
I didn't think about that.
I
But
hope not.
certainly Halo Wars, what are those like? Oh, Spartan Assault, Spartan Strike. Those
Yeah.
have
The like
run.
mobile games, or
Yep, the mobile
yeah,
games, which are on Steam.
you're
So
gonna go to an arcade for the arcade game as well.
that one's like a shoot 'em up on rails. I don't know how that works as like a speedrunning thing, but I did go to test that out. I wanted to see how speedrunnable it was.
How was it?
Um, Not very. Like I don't know if you've played it. Has anyone else played this in chat? Like it feels like a rail shooter. Like you're in a vehicle that you can't control, and you just shoot at whatever's on the screen that the game decides to show you. And it's
I
like
think that's just how arcade shooters work, right? For the most part.
yeah, so it's not the best for speedrun. Maybe so. I don't think I would include that.
Mm.
But okay. So I started Halo 2 anniversary with no sword flying and sword. I don't remember if sword cancels were in. Then Halo 5, and then in like 2016, 2017, I started really ramping up, like trying to do all the Halo games. So I did learn all the other Halo games mostly. CE was a bit finicky because like CE you have to practice and be really precise with. So like if it's
Yeah.
been a year since you've done it, you're gonna fail a lot. And
Yeah.
There's
I
also like
started
it's also the most trick heavy of all the others, I would say.
Yeah.
yeah.
CA is one of those games. If you haven't practiced the trick in a while, you're gonna get stuck there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's one of the most trick necessary runs too, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't just skip that trick. It saves 5 minutes from
yeah.
doing a pixel perfect thing, like or seemingly
Hmm.
pixel perfect. I got shaky hands, like not to mention mouse and keyboard is a little hard. So, but I did put a bit of effort into that, and like I want to say 2021, especially because I was watching a bait. I know Chronos knows a bait.
Yeah.
Um, Smash Bros. Melee player, and then suddenly here he was like talking around HaloRuns and doing co-op like Halo CE. I'm like, oh my god! So I was watching a bait for a bit, and that kind of inspired me to get back into Halo CE. And I got all the way to Ma, the mod cafe teleport thing, and
Yeah.
I left it long enough off the plate where I didn't really complete it, and so I still haven't completed a full um, CE ledge run yet with like mostly modern strats, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
think there's something that you said earlier to me was you wanted to get back into running more of the games again, like just all the mainline games, but the main thing that motivated you was also the point system, and it was broken for the longest
yeah,
time.
I forgot about that now. Like to me now, it's been so long since that I've almost forgotten about that. But for a while, I was a bit over concerned with the bugs because we've had some bugs with the HaloRuns points.
Yeah.
And then co-op had its own unique bugs. Um, but it's not insurmountable. Like I could be doing this. Everyone else has been improving. I'm really impressed with the community there, but I've been left behind. My skill set has been left behind. I have to like relearn a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe I will eventually. I have a bit more time now. Um, one thing an observation that I mean, this is about a lot of gaming communities, but like a lot of y'all, a lot of us are like of school age and school scheduled, and usually that means you have like more time, but maybe you shouldn't be using that time sometimes. Like a lot of people are college aged, right?
Yeah.
And your class schedules who the heck knows when, and you can be running in the middle of the day. It doesn't matter. And it's like you feel like the schedule of a post college job should really let you settle down and dive into it. But I feel like a lot of people um, fall off like after they get a regular job. So stick around, Chronos.
Yeah,
I know you've been being a bit a big boy job lately, but um, pillar of the community.
yeah. Something that I am curious about is how old is like most of the members of the community, because I'm pretty sure it's a very wide range, like from some that are very young, like Trouble, and then ranging all the way up to like 30s, 40s even.
Yeah, because
So,
Halo is like a pretty old game at this point, so you'd think it'd be mostly older people who'd be interested, but we actually do have like a good amount of younger runners as well,
mhm.
like
Uh,
Sinister and Trouble and people like
can I
that.
get some votes in chat if you started playing Halo after MCC, like with MCC? I'm kind of curious.
Or
I'm
just
expecting
say
a
what
full
age you are. I think that would also be pretty
same
interesting.
same
Any
question, same
any
question.
like around
Well,
because
some
I do
people.
know a lot of people came in for the launch of MCC on PC,
Oh my
and that
god, I
was a
forgot
big
about
deal.
that.
So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure a lot of people that came in, especially were from Reach, because that was like the first thing that what it came with, and Reach just got released with MCC on that time. And I think lots of runners in that age range around like young 20s or so joined because of that.
Yeah, I think the people who like played a lot of Reach when that was popular back in the day when they were young are like in their low early 20s now. And I think that's probably like if I had to guess, that's probably like the average age of the community.
I think that's why some of those games have been getting more popular too. Like Reach and while having a great campaign, at the time, or at least like I don't know, 10 years ago, it was the young game. So like those people are still being young, but the people putting in effort for something like speedrunning, I tend a little older. So I want to say like after a maturity level of how old a game is, it increases its popularity in speedrunners too. And I think Halo 4 has gotten a bit more popular too. I remember mostly like Joker, Haoli, Egg. Well, I mean, of course, there's a smattering of people, but I feel like it's gotten a lot more attention, and especially a lot since like the last year. Um, but that might not be really connected to my
Yeah, for
point.
sure.
This is an old.
I think part of that is MCC PC as well.
Yeah, that's another part of like why the runs have gotten so optimized too. I think it was kind of just a blitz of skill cap even. This
Yeah.
poster, so I made this poster the night before or maybe the morning of the is this the one? This is right before Halo 5 came out, I think. So I think we were all 2015. So this was
Oh man.
the first MCC relay race that was like official. People have been doing some races, usually like, Hobo Joker, when they weren't getting stuffed by game crashes, of course. But um, I just threw this together the night before because I love the idea of like the community part of it. Um, and I'm not a graphic designer or anything, but I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, it does look really nice. Also, like it's really cool to see like just how stacked this lineup is too.
Yeah, so many like OG
OG
names.
and they're like OG greats as well. It's not like just random people. Like a lot of these players are just actually insane at the game. Like the CE lineup right there is so strong actually.
Yeah.
Garish being into, yeah, those are some old famous names. I'm actually quite impressed we got enough reach runners.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, might be worth mentioning for the longest time, Relay was only on easy as well, right?
Yeah.
right. Well, it
It,
takes so
but
dang long to complete.
yeah.
I feel like the community wasn't good enough for legendary without it being like 11 to 12 hours.
Hmm.
Actually, what is it now?
Uh,
Um.
I think it's around there now. Yeah, 11, 12. I mean,
Yeah, with Halo
with
5
it,
and Infinite,
yeah,
then I think
s-
my franchise one was what 11 hours or something.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
So I'd say
obviously
around
people are gonna be a bit better than me, and
there.
with
Yeah,
Infinite, yeah, probably around 11
it's
hours.
definitely like multiple factors too. Like I think people did get a lot better at legendary, especially now. So like because back then it's harder to be consistent at that game for
Yeah,
like the strats at the time. And nowadays, like more people in the community and just people getting better, so the time started dropping a lot more.
yeah,
So yeah, really cool.
I was even worried about that for recent relays, like just the last 3 years, but people have proven to be more and more consistent where I shouldn't have worried as much as I did, really. It's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. What was the one before? Actually, well, that was just kind of a layout throwback. A lot of these are just throwback screenshots um,
Yeah.
from old ones. But I think, let's see who hosted the first one. I think the first like big one was just a bunch of like multi Twitch streams, and then I mean I think Licious and Hobo hosted a couple of them. Then I think maybe Aster hosted a couple.
Yeah.
We've somehow survived until like the current era where like we got the Chronos and Wacky like God Squad with some other. I know there's some more people doing stuff like I don't know,
now
maybe
we have the
Sorix.
Scales external server that people are streaming
Yeah.
to.
Is that a thing? The
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a server for it, or
well,
Scales has a server.
hot damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of really impressive people in the community now. And I that are well, it's not that they weren't here before, but I feel like the community's using more of their like outside skills to help the HaloRuns community in a way that I don't remember seeing back then. Well, one, I guess our standards have gone up and like just the professionalism has like, well, sure, yeah, do more, but like the amount of like effort that you guys put into the relay race right now, like that would be obscene back then. Um,
yeah,
it's almost
it's grown a lot.
Yeah,
it is a
definitely a
lot.
lot of production value stuff for sure.
I remember wanting to go to gigabit internet just so I could host the thing, but like, oh god, imagine me like just running all this stuff. Oh boy, if I could just like host the internet, that'd be good enough. But the Halo runs or just the Halo races stuff has been awesome. And you know what I would like to see more, or if I could somehow work this in, is a relay race like fantasy bracket, or not bracket, but like something like that. But I can't figure out how to do it without people like intentionally throwing, and not to super diss our community, but I feel like there would be some of that.
Yeah,
Um,
I get it because like I really enjoy playing like fantasy team stuff like for CS:GO for things like that. So it is fun to do.
yeah, if
And
any of
I
you
do think
guys,
it's really cool to just have more events and stuff. So hopefully we
Yeah,
can do more for Halo races. I mean, that's why we started the podcast as well to just get more Halo runs shenanigans going on.
yeah. Part of it, I mean, part of it is just the community growing bigger as well, right? Just more and more people.
mhm, which is also impressive because I still think it's more fun when the run is less optimized, but we still got tons of people joining and having loads of fun. It's really nice to see, even as I feel like I'm twilighting a bit. Um, I've managed to avoid like burnout and stuff, but it's like it's nice to see new runners come into the scene. Even now, a lot of the maybe not so much of the chat, but like a lot of people I think of now have only been around for a couple years, and then like the longer people I think of as like you guys who not so long ago were the recent people, and it's just kind of a bizarre thing, bizarre timeline.
Yeah, to me, it still feels. I know, like nowadays, I'm thought of by most people as like an OG or like an old like a boomer, but I still think of myself as like a new person in the community almost.
Yeah, it's really weird when you think about it sometimes. It's like in comparison to like most of the active runners now, it's like wow, you're such an old person in the community. But then you
Yeah,
realize that there's like layers of how old or people are within the community because to BatChat, yeah, BatChat to me is like pretty old. But then BatChat has
I
people
am
that are
objectively pretty
way,
old
way
too.
like way older of runners. Like you could even go like so far back to like Goat Rope, who's been running for like or in the community for 20 years. So that's like such a long time.
retired. We'll see about that, David.
Runner
Runner
age
age.
tier list. Oh boy.
I mean, you could probably like split it up into like certain brackets of how old some runners are because I don't know if people realize just how like old some of these runners can be like and how long have they been in the community.
Are we talking age or
Like
like how long they've been in the community?
I think how long in the community is
Yeah,
probably a better metric. Like,
yeah.
for instance, Rob has been like legendary. Rob was in the community very long,
I
and
mean,
I
Goldrove's
yeah
been around
since
since going nowhere fast, since
yeah,
literally the beginning of Halo speedrunning.
Yeah, those guys are like pillars.
hmm and
Um,
then you
there's
have even like Desk Soul, who like he was around that era as well, like super old.
well, I was surprised to find Seclusive had a like an old HaloRuns account from like
Yeah,
what was it,
Seclusive actually
2014?
joined in like 2014 or like around when HaloRuns started. But then
Yeah,
he like didn't play Halo until like
yeah.
it came on PC again.
I think he was into it for like a month or like a couple months maybe, and watched some streams, and then he kind of fell out of it, and then came back with PC.
Yeah, so it's surprising sometimes just the history of some runners.
Hmm.
That's kind of a good segue into some more things like I wanted to talk about, which is burnout and addiction
Okay.
for speedrunning in general, but you know, stuff we've seen here. And you know, everyone has their burnout moments. I mean, most of you guys that are here, I'd wager to say you're not burnt out yet. Like you're still here, and sometimes it depends. Like you just stop running versus stop being a part of the community. A lot of people they seem to just quit it cold turkey. Uh, like everything, Cordy Axis feels burnt out. Um, and I feel like I should be burnt out by now, and in a way I am. But I've sort of structured my HaloRuns career in a way where that hasn't been like or like to guard against that. I mean, heck, I started when I was like 21, so I'm already like near like maybe prime age, but like you know could retire soon, and yet I'm still around here. Like, how old am I? Like 28, something like that. Um, and part of that I think is there are some mentality things you can do, but a lot of people, not saying this is bad, this is just something that I feel happens. A lot of people get, uh, they really put all of their effort into speedrunning and they sort of attach their self worth is a strong term to use, but like it's like this is what you're really good at. Like you are better than 99% of everyone at this sort of thing, and it really makes you feel like you know really good. But also, if you're trying to get world record constantly, you like you're getting closer and closer, and every time you don't do it, if you don't enjoy it, like you feel like it's wasted time or something, and that's like that's a dangerous like mentality to have if you actually want to stick around. And I don't think there's anything wrong with stopping, but I also think it's really cool for a lot of these people that have been around to stay sticking around. If you can sort of like restructure how you view burnout, and and part of that is like I have not tried to push myself to the top. I'm not sure I could anyways. Maybe a little bit is afraid of failure, but um like right now I make sure I'm around often enough to participate in all the relay races, and I'm checking the Discord like daily. I've pretty much checked it daily since it, in 2015 when we started the server. uh but a lot of people hard stop, and some people when they do stop, like they have a bit of a like a moment. Like I've seen a few recently, some in our community. I saw there was a video that went viral like a week ago or something with some guy talking about how it was such a objective waste of time, and like this is like a toxic mindset that people can get into where they're both like they need to rip themselves away from the hobby as well as like they need to get the world record. And you got like I hope like people are better at guarding themselves against that. But it's a difficult thing to do, and I'm curious how you guys well, maybe not so much Chronos. I know Chronos has a few eggs to crack. uh Sorix, for like the level of activity you've had, I know you've stepped away a bit, but
Mm.
obviously you're still here and quite part of the community, so I'm wondering if you have like anything you could say like how you're sticking around.
Yeah, so personally, I've never had sort of the drive or motivation to like go for world records or like go for these like big goals that I have in mind and just long term work towards them. I'm very like temperamental in terms of like what I'm motivated to do. So I'll have like short bursts of motivation where I'll play a lot, um, and then I kind of stop for a while, and then I'll just randomly get motivated to do something again. And it kind of just goes in waves like that for me. But I think one thing you hit, or like that I can really agree with you on, is like the whole sort of having like expectations on yourself, I guess. Um,
Hmm.
Going into, say you're like going for a world record or something, and you're going into every session with the expectation of, "Right, I gotta get this world record, I can do it," or having that expectation is a very, very toxic mindset because you're not enjoying the actual experience of what you're doing. You just have that goal in mind, and it's very toxic. And I think probably one of the reasons why, yeah, I've not been super active like constantly. I've been kind of in and out, and I'll probably keep going in and out for a while longer, I imagine. But probably one of the reasons is I never try to think that way, at least. It's sort of like when I'm motivated to play, I'm motivated to play. I'm not motivated to get a record or get a time, you know?
Hmm. Do you see yourself going back to try to get like the Halo 3 record again?
Um yeah, at some point I'd want to play more Halo 3 legendary, I think. Like I do still have goals, or like it's more so self inflicted, right? Or like self improvement, I would say. Like, because at this point, at some point, it's like, oh, I've been gone for so long. Like, do I still have it? You know,
Oh,
it's more of that, I would say.
well, you got a few more years at least, hopefully. Uh, I don't think I've slowed down. My motivation has, but I still feel quite reflexive, shall we say? And Kronos, I know you feel. I feel like you're a little more like still current and active, even though you've been like super busy with like finals and now starting a new job. But like, what's the story with you now?
I have actually been burnt out of Halo speedrunning for quite a while. I don't know how active you have like been seeing me, since I've been doing like a lot of other stuff instead. And yeah, I don't think I've touched Halo speedrunning for a couple months. I mean, I still do like some videos and things with Halo speedruns, but I haven't actually committed to like grinding ILs or full game runs like I used to. Yeah. And I think it's kind of because of a shift of priorities for myself. Like I achieved world records already in games that like I wanted to do. So I basically like met most of my goals. So I think that's like a big thing about it is it's not necessarily just burnout which can affect you.
Mm.
It could be just a shift in what you find like fun to do. So for me nowadays, I've been doing a lot more behind the scenes stuff and like hosting and shenanigans with like the Moist Critical challenges, along with like some other secret stuff.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, overall, it's just a lot of behind the scenes things that I've been enjoying a lot more on like the
Yeah.
production side of things. And
I
that's probably like the main thing for sure.
I kind of recognize that mindset as well because I think I probably played by far the most in, and I still took breaks. Like I think I still took like several month breaks, but I played a lot in like the first year that I got into Halo speedrunning when I was just playing Halo 3 and I was like going for IL records. I was going for the, or eventually I got the full game record. But I definitely played a lot in that year compared to like the years after that. And I think I just like met a lot of my goals in terms of like achieving times and world records. So that wasn't as interesting anymore, maybe.
That's probably the healthiest way to go about it. But isn't it pretty interesting how that's sort of like an opposing pole of you're trying to hit your goal so hard, and then like the moment you hit it, like that was a huge component of your motivation to do it at all. So if you did it successfully enough, which usually never happens right away, you could be in and out in a jiffy, and like you're hardly spending any time on it. But again, that
Mm.
rarely happens.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it like everyone's has different goals in a way. And the thing is, it's like not everyone has the same goal of just like get a world record and that's it. Like you could take someone like Garish, who's a good example, who just pushed down the world record for like years and years. But because he just enjoyed the game and that was what he liked to do was just speedrun for fun, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's very different sometimes because it's hard to tell what a person's mindset is in regards to things like that. So everyone burns out, I would say, for a different reason. And probably it's just comes down to the person a lot.
yeah, I was actually going to use Garish as like an exception example because I expected him to burn out a bit after 2017. I think he's grown like so a thing that I've noticed happens to a lot of runners, but at least Halo runners, is they build up to GDQ and they spend so much time working towards it, and when they're done, like, or after GDQ, it's like a switch goes off, and you don't see them for a while. And I get that they've been practicing so hard for this huge event that that's probably a huge burnout, like a thing that can cause burnout in and itself. But Garish, like, he didn't stop at all. I think I took a screenshot of his followers the morning of it, and it was like 1.9K, and now it's like 17.5K. Like he's still like exploded, and been playing years. And I don't really keep track of what he's doing now.
He's
But
still active nowadays. He's like I think he streamed like yesterday just some speedruns and stuff. So
nice. I feel a bit bad like putting myself on blast, but I don't follow him on Twitch anymore, mostly because for a while I didn't have good like headphones, so I was watching on speakers, and I've always had roommates, and sometimes the audio levels can come through a bit. Uh, there's a few runners who I do that too, but
Yeah.
I'm still impressed by how he stuck around a bit.
Yeah, not to like speak for him, but I think Garish, like his main goal was never the game. Like he just enjoyed playing and he enjoyed streaming, so he kept going. I don't think, improving the world record or getting the world record, that was ever
Yeah, that wasn't his goal
didn't.
ever
Yeah.
really.
Right.
Like
And it
even now that like a lot more people have came up and beaten his times, it's not like nothing like that he really cares for, because he's it's like a difference in priorities for sure.
Yeah.
right. I feel like there's not many people who can beat their own world record again and again and again. Like I feel like I need the motivation of someone else on my heels or beating my time. So
Yeah. I mean, even who like, I usually think of myself as I don't really care about world record that much, but even still, once I get the world record, I don't go back to improve it that often. I usually just leave it there
Hmm.
yeah,
because
it's
it,
a
it is like I think part of it is the world record is this like standard that you look to, like this is an optimal run, or this is an um what a good run is. And if you're at the top, then your run is good. Like there's no improvement to do.
yeah. I liken that a bit to well, this is part of my motivation with speedrunning over the last most of a decade has been for self-improvement. I've been kind of addicted to like self-improvement in general for a while. And so yeah, it's better to or I don't know, it's felt healthier for me when I've just been competing against my own times. And now that my times have plateaued a bit, it's harder to be motivated. But I also haven't finished my own goals, which like we talked about was competing all the Halo games. So like in a row. And I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to tear myself away from the community until that happens. But I also don't want to like finally do it and then like, oh, okay, finally, like I'm out. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, most hobbies like people don't stick around for their whole life, so it's really not like a bad thing. I think people just as long as you can exit it with a healthy mentality, that's good. I know a lot of people
I
have
don't think you have to exit at some point. I mean, doing something for your whole life, that's fine.
right. Well, that's even better. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, I some other things I like hear people say is that they felt it is such a waste of time.
Mm.
And I think, well, one, we all waste time like in various ways, but one way that's I like I've gone through that a bit in like 2017, 2018. But some important things changed. One, uh this is a weird mentality thing, but like getting a job, like just in not being in school, um, you feel more like wasting time is worth wasting in the first place. Whereas like when I'm in school, when I'm studying, when I'm prepping for job interviews, there's always more you could be doing for like real life stuff instead of this. That even though like you might be addicted to speed running, it feels like toxic, more toxic in a way. Whereas ironically, like over the last year and or the last 2 years, I've been only in a job, not school, and I've been doing a bunch of like Apex Legends and like just multiplayer stuff. Am I improving anything doing that? Like, no, but I'm also feeling less guilty doing it. It's a weird mentality thing when
Yeah.
if you have something else in your life that you feel like you're at least like progressing, then it's like it's easier and healthier to have your other hobbies that you could consider time wasters, but like it actually like enriches your hobby goals and it you feel better about doing it. I feel better wasting my time when I come back from a job. Like
Yeah.
you've earned this.
Yeah, part of that I think is just when you're in school, you can always there's always things to do, right? You can always study more for there's always a project coming up or something. Whereas if you're working, you get off work, that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Usually. I mean, depends on the job maybe, but for the most part.
This is kind of important to my speedrunning history, and I haven't told many people, but actually when Halo 5 came out, I was like struggling in school beforehand, and I sort of started no lifing and like the anxious pull of speedrunning more versus like getting out studying or going to classes. Like it kind of like broke apart. So I actually like dropped out of school. Not mostly because of speedrunning, but the speedrunning addiction and mentality was at its highest, probably back then. So that's possibly why like it's been easier. Well, one, it's been easier for me to do it recently because I've been having a job, and two, I haven't pushed myself nearly as hard since then because I don't like when I get closer to my goal, I feel like I must do it more and more and more often uh, to actually achieve it. Like, what if I spend all this time and then I don't get it, and then I stop playing for a few months, and then like you get rusty again. Like that's like a dangerous trap mentality to have. And I think a lot of people need to look out for themselves. But that's also why I love the relay races because it doesn't matter if I actually beat my previous time. Like I'm trying to be competitive enough to contribute to my team. I enjoy streaming doing it. I know pretty much everyone in here I've seen stream a few times. So like we've all had this like I think we all at least enjoy it a little bit. So like reframing your mentality around it, it doesn't you don't have to improve your time and get your goal. Like it's about the journey. It's about like feeling good about your hobby too.
Yeah, and I think that's also like a factor on why people feel like speedrunning could be a waste of time is that you have like this goal you set for, and when you don't meet your goal for like a day, and then it becomes like a week, and then it becomes like a while longer, it's like, why am I even trying anymore? I'm not gonna get this like goal or anything.
Mm.
And that's like also a big factor.
That's an interesting point, Uzi Gorilla. I've not thought about it like that. Also, I meant to say earlier, if you had like relay race stuff you were working on, you should send me that. I'm be interested to look. But also your current point about college. True.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of relate to the whole what your story about when you started because I think when I started speedrunning, it was my first or second year of high school, or maybe in between. I was probably like some of the like the lowest part of my life, honestly. Like I felt I was like really depressed during that time, and just like the people I met through like speedrunning and Discord, that definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, I'm really happy like all you guys here are at least like trying to speed run. Like this is some cool community shit going on right here. As opposed to just multiplayer gaming, which is also cool, but I mean, this is really cool.
Yeah. Should we we've been talking for a while already, Matt, but should we go into like the Halo 5 maybe, the beginning, the
Yeah.
progression, the kind of story
Yeah, I
of the
probably should
Halo
have
5
talked about
speedrun?
this earlier,
Yeah.
but Halo 5 is in a unique position among all the other Halos now. And it was when it started, but now it is for like a different reason. Um One, it's not on PC. It's it's got patch screwery which it shares with Infinite. Um there's some hardware requirement stuff to get into, but we can get into that later. So when it launched, it was pretty much like as accessible as all the other Halos, right? Like you have most people are running on MCC on Xbox One, which Halo 5 was also on Xbox One. And like kind of during my intro I said like I wanted to be a part of this speedrunning scene, right? Maybe find some things. And I've been keeping a folder. I keep saying I'm going to do a Halo 5 documentary. I haven't really touched it in a while, but uh, a lot of people tried to like do some casual runs in ILs and like some full games, but it was mostly like the people who were running Halo for Halo anyways. So like obviously Joker did a bunch of times until he started focusing on I think AGDQ. I'm not sure exactly. Hobo, of course, put in a solid few months, but we haven't had as many dedicated people, except now that we've stuck around. Like me, Distro, David got into it. He used to be a glassed IL guy. Maybe he still is a glassed IL guy.
Really? I didn't
Um,
know that.
Oh yeah, he made Glass his mission, and like everyone was sick of the minute
Gla-
long elevator
yeah,
ride.
why glass of all levels? Was
Maybe
that the only
David
one
can
you could
answer
compete on, or?
that. But regardless, he eventually became a mainline Halo 5 speedrunner. But I feel like it only took a few months for most of the community to drop off it, and it feels completely different to like how Infinite started, where I feel like we've had try hard is kind of like a strong word, but like everyone is good and everyone wants to make Infinite their uh, game, and so everyone's like looking for stuff, and it's so weird because everyone's so good, so they are finding things. And Halo 5 felt so much more casual in comparison. And I'm not talking about now because now Infinite is kind of ruined with patch issues, but we'll get to that later. Um, but after a while, let's say, what was it, a year? Was it 2016? So it was like 9 months. 343 released a patch which added an in-game timer and a bit of campaign rebalancing. And honestly, the campaign timer is not super useful, so it doesn't matter. But can you believe we didn't have timers in the levels after all they did for the Halo speedrunning scene when MCC came out? It was such a step backwards with Halo 5, and now we have to run the 1.0 version anyways for all the various other changes.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
it was kind of the same thing when Infinite released, right? Like no ILs, no timer, no anything.
right,
Yeah.
that after all these years of hopes and dreams, they do the same thing. Uh, but the bigger issue was a lot of the enemy balancing, and I think for the most part, like all the other Halo games except for Infinite have escaped like a lot of these patches. Now they've been like patching MCC all the time, and like little various things break here and there, but the difference isn't as huge as like it was for Halo 5. It was like you could not win on these new patches for some of the levels. For some it was faster, for some it didn't matter. But like it was so different, especially for like full game and especially for legendary, because you would get melted by like like 4 grunt plasma pistol shots could kill you, maybe 5, as opposed to before when you could just survive them, but maybe jackals were a little more powerful. There's a bunch of things which I won't get into, but it was like a fundamental difference, which means that you cannot play multiplayer and Halo 5 speedrunning competitively at the same time. If you're on PC, like for other games, I feel like there's a little more workarounds with that. I'm not sure if you can have like 2 Microsoft accounts. You do Steam, you do whatever. You can down patch. It's a little trickier for
Yeah.
Halo 5.
Yeah, you can just have like two different game installations basically.
Yeah, for Halo 5, you need well, if you've ever patched it, now you need a disk to just install fresh offline. So you have to launch your Xbox offline. Loads are also kind of a problem. I mean, this is some old Xbox hardware. Um, and if you can install the game on an external SSD, pay to win. Not really, because we don't count it in the timings, but you can make your loads go from 7.5 minutes down to 4.5 minutes, something like that. Just makes it a lot nicer to speed run. You get like what else changed here? Like we for a while I feel like the biggest issue was the warden launch being a giant RNG thing in the middle of the run. But like if you can get that in a few tries here and there, it's really not much different from library from Halo CE. And now it's not, it's not nearly as big of a deal. And what I think a lot of these issues create is that it's been hard getting new people into the Halo 5 speedrun. Recruiting segment, by the way. But now, if you like, one, it's not on PC, so you have to have an Xbox. So many people like mainline MCC on PC nowadays, even though they could do it on Xbox. But Halo 5, you need an Xbox. If you want to do co-op competitively, there's for some reason one of the sections is really laggy if you have original Xbox Ones. So if you have a Series X, which I now finally do, you can run through a glitchy section with stable frame rate. Fantastic. Uh, if you don't, you could have an original Xbox One with an external SSD. A few years ago, those were like, $80 if you wanted a sizable one. Uh, I still think the campaign story quality sucking, at least to the general masses, kind of contributes to people not being as interested in it. You're right. You have people like looking up the Twitch directory. You have, Halo 3, like, oh my god, that game was my childhood. Halo 2, whatever. What a lot of people remember about Halo 5 was like, oh my god, I remember how much that story sucked when it launched. Like, who wants to watch that? And I don't think that's as much of an issue for like our community. Like, we have Halo 5 with all the other channels. Everyone here gets enough exposure to it, so I don't think that's an issue. And it's not like people stream for viewers, but like I think Halo 5 speedruns have a little of a viewer handicap in that regard too. Like, who wants to watch this game they don't care about as much? But it would still be nice to have some more runners themselves play, and that's more hindered, I think, by the other issues. The hardware requirements. You have to be on a controller. Actually, well, here's the other thing.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
there's some mouse inputs for like Xbox sometimes, but one, I don't know if Halo 5 supports it. Two, a lot of
It's not supported.
okay, a lot of these like newer improvements they made to Xbox over the years only work if you're online, which you can't if you're trying to do patch 1.0. So it's a freaking mess.
Yeah,
Um,
there are like third party mouse adapters, but that's a whole other mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, ironically, I feel like for our community, that's almost less of an issue now. We've had a lot of people since the PC scene launched, kind of mod first, ask for forgiveness later, sort of things. Reset macros. I think we used to like gentleman's agreement, like anti-cheat on when like Reach first came out, but then like uh,
Yeah,
perhaps
that was a thing for a while. Yeah.
like, oh, but we can't get live split to read the game's memory and auto split for us, so anti-cheat off.
Yeah.
I think how the game was timed was really contentious when it came out. So we've mostly settled, and it's kind of amazing that we've held it together as a community for this long. But basically, I think like a mouse for Halo 5, if that worked, wouldn't be the biggest issue nowadays.
Yeah.
But of course, we'd have to look at it.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Halo 5, if it was on PC, it'd have so many more runners. I mean, there would definitely be a lot of people from other Halo games coming to Halo 5 if it was on PC, I think.
And it still would be fine for co-op, but the crazy or the hard part is they would probably give us current patch for PC. I don't know if there's a way to get like patch 1.0 running on a
I
PC.
wouldn't think so for that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be just whatever version, because they're going to have to completely remake it or something to
Right.
transfer it from Xbox to PC.
And then like well, one thing I'm sort of excited about if this happened is if modders or people could make tools to more accurately study the warden's behavior, so you can take those lessons and then use them on your Xbox speedrun. And I mean, there's so many tools that have come out for PC that people have been using to practice, like Bool. We'll just like all sorts of cheat engine stuff. Just to
Bull
practice.
practice mode. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Yeah, even
it's
I
Shout
was
it's a
able
outs
to.
to
miracle.
I
It's a
mean,
miracle,
it's
honestly,
it's
that
definitely,
exists.
yeah, it's definitely a factor for sure that PC, like just the fact that you're able to mod the game a lot easier than like Xbox, like it makes like just speedrunning a lot more accessible and a lot more, I guess, optimized in general, just because you have so many extra tools and stuff to analyze the game.
Right. I really love Halo 5 done segmented. I'm kind of curious what it would look like with checkpoints every 1 second if you wanted, or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said something in the chat that I like wanted to, maybe it was Halo 5 on PC. Oh, okay. So yeah, Halo 5 Forge has been on PC since like 2017 or something like that. I played a bit of custom games on it, but uh, what was the issue with them porting it to PC? Yeah, it's gonna be the current patch. Oh, Infinite. This is why I wanted to bring up Infinite. So the first like major Infinite patch, I feel like it took what speedrunners showed the devs what could be done, and like
Yeah.
it felt very targeted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's hearsay or whatever, but we had a wish list. Well, I've at least been building a wish list of stuff I'd want them to fix if they patched or if they ported Halo 5 to PC that would help everyone, casuals, like sometimes a troll crawler gets stuck behind a pillar and so you can't continue. And like, oh, like just have the devs look at that, like make sure the crawlers go out and fight you eventually, something like that. But then watching how they treated like Halo Infinite and patches, now I'm not sure I want to give them this list of stuff at all. Like just have them throw it on PC and see what happens. But like if we try to make them pay more attention to the speedrun, I'm like, I worry what they'll accidentally on purpose patch out. And I don't have like a list of things I'm specifically worried about at this moment, but boy, Infinite Runners got hosed.
Yeah, I think something like that's also to be said is, yeah, it definitely did feel targeted in a way. Like some glitches make sense to patch, like sure, ground clipping with like the what is it, the grapple ground pound thing,
Yeah.
like that's definitely messed up, and a casual player could just fall through the map with that. But sure, that's fine to patch because like it ruins the casual gameplay experience in a way. But when it comes to other aspects, like the door melee to just load in the next area thing,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
just only a speedrunning thing, yeah? It's like not an
Yeah.
issue for casual players. Like if you're a casual player, like is that gonna really affect your gameplay experience? No. And stuff like that is what is really annoying about patches that feel like they're targeted, just like patching out things that don't affect casual players but affect like speedruns. And there's like a
Yeah.
lot more like glitches and stuff that was patched. I know Dice has, like, Dice, who has been running Infinite even on current patch. It's like he's really annoyed about all of these changes and stuff, and there's so many of them. Yeah, Pelican's fusion coil launches are huge, like like things like that. It's like such cool things as well, like especially tank gun too. When tank gun got patched, the entire community was so outraged that 343 actually brought it back because people loved it like an Easter egg, and just that was so dumb that they decided to patch it out, and it definitely enraged the entire community about that. So,
Yeah. I kind of got out early on Infinite. I think I ran it for like a week.
mhm,
um. So, but I mean, Infinite was already kind of dying, and then the patch just
just
kind of
instantly
put it
killed
in the
it. Yeah.
grave. Yeah.
Like it, I think a lot of it also is the fact that Infinite was definitely just not catered towards speedrunners at all. There's no mission
Yeah.
replay system, there's no like load last checkpoint. Like you actually have to wait for the entire death animation before you respawn.
Oh,
That was
that
so
was
bad.
so bad.
Like
Yeah.
just the fact that all of these things that came from previous Halo games just didn't exist in Infinite, that it just made the game just terrible to speedrun. I think every single other game that I can think of has like some sort of checkpoint system where you can just load last checkpoint if you had a checkpoint. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure so many games have that, but just Infinite doesn't. And like every single mainline Halo game has it. Just, yeah, just not in Infinite.
Well, we'll see if a
Yeah.
future 343 team tackles it kind of like when they started prepping it for Halo MCC PC. I feel like they fixed a lot of issues again, but with all the restructuring, I'm very curious what the future of it's going to look like. Now they've kind of like opened a box, and I'm not sure what their dev structure looks
Yeah.
like to put it back or to
I
fix.
mean, the MCC, it's kind of like a whole other box to open, but like
Yeah, you could think about
it
like
does feel
Halo
like
2.
they fix one thing and they break another. Kind of, that's kind of how it goes usually.
Halo 2 is a great example where the initially on MCC release, like they broke sword flying and stuff. Yeah.
I think it was intentionally patched
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah,
or
something like that.
well, sword flying was always patched out, right? Because that's
Hmm.
just patched Halo 2 Classic as well. But
Yeah.
sword canceling,
Yeah, I know Mono and Goat might have more to say about that,
Yeah.
because I think they were with them as they were like still building MCC.
Yeah.
so
Broken physics.
yeah. So you witnessed, how did Halo 5, you talked about this a little bit maybe, but I'd like to hear more about it. Like how did Halo 5 and Halo Infinite launch? Can you like compare those? Like how
Oh,
did those differ in terms
um,
of like people, how people were playing the game, and you know.
right. Well, you know how we were all like in the Discord, at least as people were slowly beating the game. After a few days, they would get in the Discord and like everyone was strat finding, and
Yeah.
the landscape of infinite speedrunning changed hour to hour.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy. For like a week straight, it felt like each hour was a new route.
Yeah.
And everyone's trying to contribute to it. Like heck, the most I could do was like do the same chopper launch like 20 times, like just to, because trying to do multiple things at once, you wouldn't get it done fast enough. And of course, I don't think that would be what I was working on ended up being relevant at all. Um, Although I still have hopes for 100%, but I'm not sure about that. Uh, it's also a bit. This is where a lot of people could maybe argue with me on this, and they might be right. But I feel like there's a bit more. People really want to be the one to find things, and this is like a subjective observation I'm making, but uh, like people trying to like be the the one to find it first. There's more naming stuff after themselves, and I'm gonna sort of extend this to a lot of the resurgence since MCCPC came out. Stuff that wasn't really viable before, but maybe was touched on before, is now is worth it to be a part of the run now, and people are like really got it. They really have a drive to put their name on it, which I think has helped us further optimize and find more strats and stuff. But it just feels so different, like looking at the landscape of strat finding around Infinite launch compared to like Halo 5 launch. To me, it felt so much more casual. And part of this is my changing perspective just since I've had tenure in the community and experience, but I do think I was around long enough to at least notice that difference. And again, people did not like Halo 5 story. It was not very fun to go back to and play over and over again. So it's like you really just see more like the dedicated people do it. And I don't know what Infinite would be like if the patches didn't at least make things worse. Did we optimize the game too fast? Uh, I'm really not sure what like strat finding looks like for Infinite if we didn't
Mm.
have this patch issue.
Yeah, so for Infinite, basically the week was, I mean, the game was like fairly optimized within what, a week of release. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously it's gone down way more since then. Like it was maybe 50 minutes or something a week after, and now it's
Yeah, in the 20s.
third 25 or something.
Yeah.
So it's gone down quite a lot, but still, it was down quite a lot in the first week, right?
Yeah.
In Halo 5, was it like it was? Had anyone even thought about doing a speed run? You know, like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
week after the game
yeah.
release.
Yeah, people did want to speed run it, but it was mostly again. I think full game. It was mostly like Hobo and Joker. Of course, everyone could put together a Halo 5 easy speed run, but like any Halo player could just go from point A to point B. Like
Yeah,
I think Wolfie had the record for a few days. Nagato had a record. Um,
yeah.
I
So
know.
it was on HaloRuns from day one, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
even the armory levels, like the ones in between.
right, yeah.
If people were arguing about like timing minuscule milliseconds and like that they found that, like, oh my god, it's which actually I think might have even popped up in Infinite again, like what should we time or what not. Oh, actually no, I'm thinking of Armory. Like we actually finally removed Armory after years of everyone arguing about it, which I'm not gonna take a side here, but uh I'm glad that Halo 5 does not track them as ILs, but that was a funny short moment in its history for like a week that they were on the leaderboards. But I think we were still working on ILs for so long after the game came out, like before all the runners started dropping. Like by the time full game runners were established and steadily working the time down, most of the HaloRuns community had moved on or moved back to the MCC games. I'm asserting uh, IL stuff. Yeah, it took a while to get them down.
Mhm.
I think I got a blue team IL sandwich record for a bit, which I mean as I got the first one. You can look at the history of. Oh, is it on the new site? I wonder if
I
it is.
believe it is. I think you have had the blue team record, like,
All right. So
on
my
Maybe,
greatest
maybe we
claim
can
to
bring it
fame,
up,
very old.
record history.
my proudest achievement. I got a 30-minute blue team IL world record. Woohoo! Uh, and I there were 3 levels I wanted to put my name on in Halo 5 because I enjoyed running them. One was blue team, one was Swords of St. Helios, and the other was Battle of Sinayan. And I've gotten records a couple times. There it is, 32 minutes.
Good choice of levels.
That's because Hobo was working chronologically and he was still on Osiris at the time. So he eventually got that down. And then actually Naked Eli did do a neat little strat in there. Some things seem so silly looking back, but these deserve like longer videos. But Naked Eli had a new strat. I actually pushed it harder finally to get like 15 minutes. And then it was just David and Distro, the legendary duo, making a multi-year saga there. And then I finally got the world record again. And this is like, I am actually proud of that time. That 7 minutes, like that was a good time. And it was during a period of my like career where I was sort of like, I was like beginning early retirement in a way. I haven't really been active in the community. Oh, hey, coughing. I keep saying I like was active. Like I never streamed that often outside of relays, and people would be like, "Oh, are you even active?" But I was always active until like around 2020. But then so I got into this Halo multiplayer friend group, and one of the guys was like, he was like super fascinated by the concept of Halo speedrunning, and he had a song that he wrote about like just kind of like a one shot, one opportunity sort of song. I was like, God damn it, yeah, I'm gonna fucking get a record back, and it's gonna be my favorite record or my favorite level in all of Halo. Maybe I'd like Halo 2 Gravemind better if I was any good at it. But Blue Team is one of my favorite missions, so I really wanted to push that time down, and I had a chip on my shoulder because I think Halo 5 Done Segmented was released prior, and they didn't do the fastest blue team like big room strategy. I'm like, well, come on, guys, like I can beat this in an IL. So I at least had to put that strat in an IL. So I'm happy. I'm not sure if I'll get a record again. There's a couple that were attainable. Glassed had some things left off of it, but I think they beat that again, and now my Chrysler building strat is no longer like viable. So we'll see. I don't need any more records again, except for the Halo 5 co-op world record, a full game world record. I want that back. So
Yeah.
looking out for potential partners in chat here. We'll see. But I'm
Well, I would say yes, but unfortunately, there's a pretty big pond in between.
And I need to get it before it comes to PC, because then I feel like even people, it's not like I'm especially good at Halo 5, and David's pretty good, but these
He's
PC kids,
decent. He's okay.
okay, these PC kids are fiends, though. They can. Oh God, and don't let Nails get a hold of Halo 5. Like,
Oh, yeah.
um,
Thankfully, I think Nails is fully converted to PC at this point. I don't think
Yeah.
he would
excellent.
And I don't think Nails likes Halo 4 or Halo 5 as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think he's
see
touched
what I
either of
mean?
them.
It's hard to get people into the scene. There's something about these games that people don't like.
I mean, you could say Halo 4 because it went on PC. There's a lot more runners for Halo 4, so I'm pretty sure like Halo 5 would have the same. Like,
I think
that.
Halo 5 would like be even bigger than Halo 4.
I hope so, but we still have the thing where the fastest solo patch is 1.0.
I
I
still
think
think there's
people
going to be,
would make like
yeah,
be fine.
yeah,
I don't think it's unbeatable though. It's
hmm,
just a giant pain in the butt
yeah.
if you try to do it unpatched.
I do think it's going to be like, honestly, I do think PC people, there's like a lot more people that will come in, so we'll see. Like, if it does come to PC, I do think there's just going to be more people. Just
Yeah.
how do I say it? Like, just because there's more people, the time's going to go down, even if they
Right.
have to
Yeah.
run on a worse version.
Yeah. I think for easy, it's not as big for sure
Mm-hmm.
as well.
I'll try to get back into it then too. It's clearly my like sunset retirement game. Even if I do all the other Halos again, uh, I'm just gonna be doing Halo 5 relay race until we quit, or at least until David quits, because I need to have the most. Yeah, we do have a
Speaking of
patch
which, yeah,
bounty.
patch bounty.
I'm glad David brought it up. There's people are intimidated that the game is worse unpatched, but it's really not. It's not unbeatable. And
I mean,
David has a bounty for if you can get the patched version under a certain time, and I don't know what that time is. Maybe he can post it in chat.
I think it's like
But like
123 or something.
this goes to
124.
like anyone in chat or anyone in general, except for me and maybe Sorix. I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know if we
Sorix,
got
go beat
excluded.
it.
No, I'm eligible for the bounty, I think.
You are?
But
Okay.
yeah, as you can see, like on the picture right now, I played unpatched when I played Halo 5 Legendary, and I mean it was fine. Going down to the 120s, you're absolutely not even at a disadvantage playing patched.
Mhm.
I actually preferred patched over unpatched. I played both, or I tried
Really?
both, and
Even with the
I
battle rifle?
preferred patched just because of the aiming. Because
Oh,
unpatched Halo 5 does not have, you can't change the like acceleration
right.
on
I
on the
think you only
joysticks.
get one sensitivity
Yeah,
number, and it's
and
for
it's
both
and
vertical and horizontal.
yeah, and it goes like 1 to 5 or something. So purely for that reason, I hated aiming on unpatched. I hated the way it felt. So I
There's
just
no
wanted
way
to.
he has a Halo 5 time. I'm just looking at Zephyrike's comment. There's
He
what the
does.
hell am I looking at there? Look at this leaderboard. This is how many people that have done runs of it and at least not deleted their times. That's another issue I have. But
Yeah,
um,
this is what, 8 years. So
Mhm.
ugh,
I do know there's some, like Kryphin, for instance, has ran Halo 5, but
right. Oh, I forgot about that. Actually, Kryphin and Renegade were. Well, I forget how long Kryphin was doing easy for before Renegade came along, and then I think he tried to improve his time again. But they they were relatively early.
yeah,
I think earlier I said it was mostly just me, David, and Distro that and Hobo that stuck around, but I forgot about
Kryphin.
Renegade, and I don't remember how long Kryphin was working on this.
Yeah, I think Kryphin just did like a brief stint of like a year or something, or maybe even less than that.
I think he mostly did easy as well, right? Did he do
Yeah,
legendary?
I think he mostly did easy.
Mostly easy.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I forgot about the God Gamer himself. How could I forget? I wonder how many people post like 2017 even know about the God Gamer. But yeah, we had the God Gamer who was playing Halo 5 pretty regularly too. I wonder if his times are still up there. Maybe not. Um, but either way, I hope more people play. While we were on the process of tooting my horn, I will mention I did have the world record a few times for Battle of Sinayan easy, and I couldn't submit either of them because I was just practicing for the relay race and the time was unoptimized. But I do have DVR proof of the last 30 seconds with the patch in-game timer, and I have a screenshot of another one. But that's besides the point. So I have had a few. Oh, and Genesis. I think I got the Genesis world record with new strats. Most of these are like with new strats. You all know from just like either watching me stream or play or the lack of my name on the leaderboards, I'm not a super huge top runner here, but sometimes
I
it's
mean,
fun too.
you've held records. It's good enough for me. And you felt
Right.
like top 3 for like the longest time. So,
Well,
yeah.
I used to have the number one HaloRuns points too. I think that was briefly
Yeah.
before David went on his goal of getting as many doing the hobo challenge. Multi-patch. Oh, do you want me to answer that? Let me
What
look
does
at
that mean exactly? I'm not sure I know what that means.
Okay. Well, it's almost more relevant to me than anyone else, at least if I know what David's talking about. So when these terrible patches first came out in May of 2016, that changed the campaign, flipped it on its head, and made 1.0 actually the most preferred way to run. If you let me back up. You can save checkpoints in Halo 5. You have like 3 save slots. And if you're just in a mission doing your thing, you got your gun that you picked up over there and 2 grenades. You can save that checkpoint and then you can you play whatever else you want for however long and then you go back and you can start the mission from that checkpoint. You can do that to practice a speedrun trick or whatever. Some of the missions, the checkpoint is at the very beginning of the mission. And it is a bit contentious whether you can save some RNG or like the seed at the front. Like we don't really know at this point. I'm not sure, or maybe you can. And nobody cared. But I had some pre-patch saves on my post-patch Xbox, and what was interesting is that the patches did not patch those checkpoint saves. So
Oh,
for those ILs, which I had blue team and Battle of Sinayan, I could play on pre-patch Halo 5 without the disc for I don't know years until I finally deleted them, or maybe they're still on my old Xbox. I'm not sure. And
that's very interesting.
yeah, I don't know how it didn't like patch the weapon characteristics or anything. But one of the things we were struggling with is this allowed? Like, could I do a full game run with patch, save and quit, go to my saved checkpoint at the beginning of the level, and then put that as part of the full game? And given that we allowed save and quit, and I think we still do, and we don't time in between, it's like it's technically not wrong or bad. It just feels kind of a gray area for like a speed run. And I was mostly an IL kid at the time, so like it really and by the time I got a disc, it wasn't an issue anymore. But that was kind of a brief moment in Halo 5 history. Like, and I was pretty much the only one who had these saves too. So it was mostly a question for me.
Oh, I think I have a good thing to discuss for that because the same thing is for Morrowind speedruns. So the world record holder Volvulus for that game ran on I think the original version or something. But basically there's like 2 versions of the game and they're like one of them's on a newer patch, one of them's on the older patch. And so one of the questions that he had for the rest of the community was whether or not you could play the game up to 1 point on one patch and then just switch the game version but use the same save. And because when you switched around the game version, but you kept the save, it would just act as if you're playing on the other patch with the same game save. And because that made it like slightly faster, I think it saved like a minute or something in the all main quests speedrun for that game. And I think there was like a community poll vote thing for it, and it was allowed just cause he was also the like one that's been optimizing the game. But yeah, it's definitely something to take a look at.
It's
That's
at this point.
interesting that it was allowed. I wouldn't
Yeah,
expect that.
it like yeah, I think it was just a lot of people were discussing about it, and it's like the argument was the fastest game, like fastest way to play the game, I think. And since Volvulus was the main guy doing it, that was the main reasoning behind it.
Yeah, David just kind of brought up an interesting topic about the patches in chat as well. About there is like technically mid patches as well, right? Because nowadays people only really play on the 1.0, the original version of Halo 5, or the current, the like latest patch. But there are a bunch of patches in between those that basically are unavailable. You can't get them anymore.
Right.
Um,
I don't remember how long we had revert checkpoint without the really bad changes. But of course, there were like 5 patches before the super bad patch, so it could have been one of those. And I meant to go over that before I did like an actual history documentary. Um, I forget if Hashka had any thoughts about this whole thing too.
Think that
I guess
was
I had.
that's also a thing for Halo too. Yeah, there was a patch where the elites were broken for dual wielding elites. So like they didn't dual wield for some reason. I think. And
that was a thing for like a very long time in MCC, I think.
yeah. I just remember that being a factor, and people were wondering if you could probably just go back to one of those patches to like speedrun Cairo or something.
Hmm.
As part of full game.
Or just as an IL. Like
Yeah.
because most people play on season 7 now, season 7 down patch instead of that version. So like potentially some people want to like try running very old patches or older ones, and that might change up how we have to do stuff. So
It is funny how this has become more of an
yeah.
MCC problem than a Halo 5 problem. Also, I like if I were to get back into the MCC games, like now I have to worry about like, oh, which patch and
Hmm.
like a different rules. Guides don't apply in all the patches, and it's uh I feel like they started, well, I guess it was a PC thing that they started like regularly patching it again, right? Um
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
shame.
even me, I'm sort of apprehensive about running Halo, thinking about, oh, if I'm gonna run Halo 1, I'm gonna have to do this patch. I'm gonna have to download MCC again, and then I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
find some other patch for Halo 2. It's definitely a barrier to entry now.
That's part of how I got into speedrunning in the first place, when we didn't require like, well, I wasn't worried about getting a record or anything, but like I could just, I'm playing multiplayer and in an instant I could just decide, let me just try to get a better Sierra time. And part of this is just everyone's journey of getting better. Even now, I can't just like start playing Sierra and expect to beat my PB. I have to like restudy it.
Hmm.
But you could just like drop in and play in a way that's, I think, a little harder today, at least without setting all that stuff up first.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
have dedicated runners who are still willing to do that. So it hasn't seemed to stop the progression.
Yeah, it's definitely just the fact that like version differences are now a pain compared to in
Yeah.
the past where it wasn't too big of a deal. And
Would you
yeah.
would you say back in like those days, the community was like more so Halo players who were also speedrunners, that whereas maybe today it's more so like the community are speedrunners who speedrun Halo or who are Halo players?
I don't know. I don't think I have an insight, at least as for my time period. Um, I don't even know the current runners that well. I guess like a lot of like even just looking at the off-topic marathon, I didn't realize so many people did other games. Good for them. But also a lot of people were just like they played Halo when they were kids, and then they were just
Yeah.
on Twitch just because, and then they became Halo speedrunners. And I'm not even sure if they were even Halo players at that point because MCC hadn't come out yet, and then I don't know, like how many new or how many people that just started playing MCC for the first like 3 months when multiplayer was broken as hell. Like, are they now MCC kids? Are they Halo kids? Are they old Halo kids? Are so I'm not sure. I don't think I could give an accurate assessment of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because you could think about some people like there's montagers like Zoo and Adversary or stuff. They came in because they really enjoyed Halo and they've been playing Halo for like the longest time, yeah?
Mhm.
While
Yeah.
some other people, like for me, for instance, I came in because I wanted to speedrun specifically.
Yeah,
And
I was that
yeah,
way too. I played a bit of Reach multiplayer back in the day, and I played like some Halo 3 Forge with my brothers,
yeah,
like a couch co-op. But I mostly started because I wanted to speedrun.
yeah. So it definitely comes down to just a lot of different ways people can get in. And I think nowadays it's like I think it definitely gears more towards people saw a speed run and they're interested in it just because
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so too. Just maybe just because of the sort of downfall of Halo as well. Like
Hmm.
Halo's just not as popular of a game anymore.
Hmm.
So people who are speedrunning it are more so like people who played it in the past, maybe.
We need a Halo renaissance period.
MCC2.
Yeah, CS gets a 2. Why can't MCC get a 2? Come on.
MCC2.
This is the patch that finally works.
If only.
Oh dear.
Okay. Uh
Well, I'm I have one more thing maybe. I'm looking at your sort of your profile picture here. Former Halo Wars 2 world record holder?
Oh dear. Yeah, do you guys not remember when that was the hip and hoppinest most new speed game that everyone played? No.
No, actually. Would you like to talk about that?
Not much. I ran. I mean, this is part of my full franchise speedrun goals, and
Yeah.
apparently Halo Wars One is a better speed game in general. But uh, I like RTS as a genre, and I like Halo, so I thought I'd give it a try. Uh, on easy, of course, because I'm not that good. And the fun part was the strat finding and routing. Most of
Hmm.
the records didn't have any times yet, or if they did, it was by one person who just threw a time up there and maybe did a full game run and then cropped every single IL and submitted those as ILs. So I did that and really improved the time, but it's not anything I'm necessarily proud of. And unfortunately, the speed run itself is not super interesting. So I'm not even sure if I can recommend watching it. Um, but if you want to, it's on my YouTube channel, I think, or
Yeah,
just go to speedrun.com.
I'm a bit disappointed we don't have Halo Wars running off topic this year. Hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe next year you can make your return,
It's like a
BatChat.
2 hour. One of the missions is a balloons tower defense, like 29-minute auto scroller that cannot change its time. You just have to survive.
Yeah,
And the last mission's really long too, and like a lot of the game
we
is
can just do a podcast episode during it.
Yeah.
yeah. No, the sad thing is, well, I can't concentrate on anything else when I'm talking. And although that game doesn't need a lot of concentration, I would need it for that game. I don't know. You can actually kill your units really easily on easy. Like you can just get them into a crossfire of a bunch of enemies. And even though it's easy, like no reasonable person is going to run their troops through the gauntlet like that. But on easy, you might because you just want to go super fast. So you can still like lose and then suddenly you have no units and what do you wait like 4 minutes to build new ones and do the same thing like it's over at that point. So there are some difficult parts to it. Don't think I could do it while talking. Not too good. Check out the Halo Wars 1 speedrun, if anything. There's actually some speed tech that we know about. Like you can instantly cancel your like tank shot and do it twice, depending on when you target things. I'm sort of speaking out my ass there, but like you tell your tank to shoot something, and then right before it does, you like off click and then retarget again, and it fires 2 shells instead of 1, which is pretty huge for like an RTS unit like that.
Yeah, speaking
Yeah,
of
I
which,
imagine that introduces a lot of like micro.
Yeah, I would do it. Heck, I mean, I have time this weekend now, but like I have no way of knowing that. Like, I forget when you guys started organizing this, but
it
I
was a
don't know.
while ago. Yeah.
And then it would take me a while to get back into it. It would be super boring.
Yeah, there are some Halo runners that have been speedrunning Halo Wars as well. Like Welshavo's a big one.
Oh, I forgot
For
about
instance.
Welshavo. He's in my
Didn't Viper do it as well at some point?
Who?
Viper? Or
I think Viper did something. Didn't he?
I haven't looked at the leaderboards.
Yeah,
in,
Welshavo
like,
and
6
Viper
months.
did a co-op run.
yeah, okay, that's where I got it
Halo
from
Wars,
then.
Yeah. Okay, this question from Wacky, I don't think is a question.
I think we can get into the questions now. But yeah,
I've been answering a couple of them as I saw them come up. The one up there that I did not answer yet is yes, I do still accept Photoshop requests, and I usually do this through stream points. And if I hear one more time that Sorix still needs me to redeem his because he didn't like my Snorlax picture.
Wait, I don't even remember this. I forgot about this.
Okay, but anyways, you guys have seen some of the bulletin stuff. That's very mild Photoshop, but like the pictures of the thumbnails for the community highlight reels, like if you want, like I like messing around with stuff like that. If you want like a brute to be twisted in the shape of a chair jumping off a skyscraper, like those are the sort of Photoshop things I can do. If you just have like a simple request. I'm not an artist, so like I have to work with assets that I find online anyway. But yeah, I'll still accept Photoshop requests. No guarantee on the time scale though, especially if I'm not streaming. I stream like twice a year, usually the month prior to relays.
BatChat asks, can BatChat make some HaloRuns merch?
I did that to remind myself, and I forget what I was. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember, but I'm not going to tell everyone else. It might just show up one day. Maybe I'll get them as 10th anniversary of HaloRuns gifts for everyone.
I'd love to get some HaloRuns pajamas or socks or something.
That's another idea. Let me write that down.
HaloRuns coffee mug. Yeah.
HaloRuns pumpkin. I actually did. I'm not sure if I gave you this picture, but I did carve the HaloRuns logo into a pumpkin.
Oh, that's sick.
Made it light up. I know someone else did that too. I try to save these pictures. But okay, so I'm just bringing this up now, but the 10th anniversary of HaloRuns.com is coming up.
That
right?
is a big thing.
Maybe something should happen. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I think it was like January 2014, right? We'll have to get some oldies to confirm.
I think we should definitely talk to some people about that, because it would be really cool to do some sort of event for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I already kind of like burst my spent my artistic wits on this, but like there's another HaloRuns relay race poster. I don't know if you flashed it at some point, that I actually was pretty proud of. It was all the Master Chiefs like handing the relay off to each other with the HaloRuns baton. Like that actually took me a fair bit of effort. So something like that I would like to do again for like such a 10th anniversary. Oh yeah, there we go.
1 second.
I like that image. I'm mostly proud of that image.
I have to switch over.
I don't know how to make a 3D image in Photoshop anymore, though. I forgot that HaloRuns baton. Would HR sue me if I uploaded a HaloRuns cookie clicker game? I don't know. Who
didn't we say last time you're free to make a HaloRuns mobile game if you want?
I think there's also a screenshot of some forum post from way back when that like feel free to use. You should literally advertise HaloRuns in any way you possibly can. Maybe a mono code. I know I have screenshots of this too, so we'll go back. Cookie clicker game though. Maybe that's no one should experience that though. Just unrelated. It's just too sad. Cookie clicker game.
Every time you click, you get a HaloRuns point.
Ooh.
Now we're talking.
Once a day, log in once a day, you get 1 point. Oy Dios. I don't know. We got all sorts of things that we could do community wise. And again, if anyone can think of an idea of how we can do like a relay race, fantasy like team thing without incentivizing people throwing the race, like let me know. I'd love to manage and implement that sort of thing. I can't think of a way to do it. And other games too.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of like things I have in mind, especially stuff like just for this podcast sort of thing, like Jeopardy or quiz games of sorts would be really fun to have on here. I was also thinking about doing some like tournaments again would be really cool, but like I think in the past it was like full game tournaments that I ran, but I was thinking about doing some fun pick ban sort of IL tournament style stuff. That would be pretty interesting.
I thought you were talking about the multiplayer thing for a bit. I remember we did one when Reach came out. I don't know if we kept going. I have a clip of me absolutely destroying Jangoost as he gets the sniper, and I got the chain turret on the one of the remakes, and I might put it in my Halo montage. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I would love more of those.
Yeah, there's so many things. Like we had a HaloRuns multiplayer tournament uh as well back then, but I think there was a lot of issues surrounding it as well. So was didn't work out the best, but yeah, just having more events of these sorts of things would be cool. I know Danos has been, or was it Danos or Too Easy? Someone was talking about doing like a Reach break the record event where they would just grind out, like a lot of people would grind out the record and just have it on stream.
Yeah, Seclusive told me about that the other day.
Enter at your own risk.
Yeah, it would be fun. Just a lot of people chilling, and then you just have the gameplay on the screen, like right here, and you can see how all the runners are doing.
Yeah, I'd watch that. One more thing I definitely wanted to get out. I am fascinated with the idea of badges on profile badges. Now, software aside, or like coding aside, maybe people don't like the idea of it. But if we did, and I'd like to just create that, that's like a quick I did. I started thinking like what sort of size requirements are you generally supposed to do for this? Like I know Twitch works in like base 28 by 28 or like 112 by 112. I think TeamSpeak 3 does it like 16 by 16 scaled up. I like if I were to just create some for fun, I feel like having a size guideline to start would be good.
Yeah, I think if you like use one of these trophies as an image, for instance, would be a good benchmark.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. But I'm pretty sure you could do it more with like your profile here. And it doesn't have to like be restrictive or anything. You could probably have like this entire empty space with stuff that you could probably put in.
And it could get super cluttered. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily push for this. I'd love to talk about it more in the future, but I also just for my own fun would like to create a bunch of them, and then in case we go through with it, here's a bunch.
You could probably like set up a mock-up, like you just copy an image of like this thing, like your profile here, and then you just use Photoshop to just edit things like, oh, I want
that.
something like that. And then if you give it to Helix, I'm pretty sure he could code something up. I'm pretty sure that's like the main thing that he needs is some sort of reference material.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, BatChat, you could probably do something like that.
The hard part is the art, but
Yeah.
like an example I have is just like the baton, diagonal across the background, like Halo, like relay race participants, can get one. There can be this, but with a crown for if you've won one. Um, you know, significant community contributor. I'm just like spitballing based off of other servers that I've been a part of.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, world record. I
Yeah,
don't think.
I think just like having more things on your profile is just nice to have, just visually.
Yeah, even just like a like about me page on your profile would be cool to have.
Yeah, like something like you can edit with text would be
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. Yeah.
Relationship status, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Single but exploring other Halo games, stuff like that. But I don't know. I love hearing all sorts of community ideas, and y'all should just like message everyone with stuff.
Yeah.
Dopamine
Like
JPEG.
once again, if anyone has any suggestions or anything, just feel free to bring it up to like moderators,
Yeah.
admins, and stuff. We're definitely willing to accept or help out with things. I know Danos has sent me something, so that's pretty cool and interesting to check out. So yeah. I don't know if anyone else has anything to talk about. We could probably start wrapping things up here.
Yeah, I think
I feel comfy with all I've said.
I think that sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, I guess thank you everyone for tuning in to the third episode of the HaloRuns podcast with BatChat. It was very nice to talk to you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
hopefully
thank you so much for coming on, Matt. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. Hopefully next week, I'm not sure what we'll do then. Maybe have another runner interview. I will have to switch the date. I think I might have to make it Saturdays from now on, just because I'm starting to work next week. So we'll see how things go. If so, Saturdays around the same start time probably would be a thing. No, not tomorrow. No, I will not be able to do that.
We're in the off topic.
But yeah, if we have a guest next week, we'll see. I have a few in queue. Basically, there's a couple of people that have asked, so we'll try to just filter in people as we go. And once again, if anyone does want to join the podcast, I just message me and I can probably invite you, and probably we'll have some fun games very soon. I think that'll be fun, like Jeopardy. I know someone wants to join in for Jeopardy sometime, so hopefully things work out for that. I just need to figure out how to do it. It's quite a lot of work.
Yeah, and like definitely don't be afraid to ask. Like if you're interested in being on the podcast, just send a message.
Yeah, like just send a message and I'll get back to you. Yeah. Okay, that is it. And have
make sure to check out
rate.
Off Topic tomorrow. By
Yes,
the
check
way,
out Off Topic tomorrow starting 7 p.m. Central Time. I will also try to find someone to raid who is in the HaloRuns community.
Oh, rewarding them for not watching the podcast? How could you?
they have it in the. They better have it in the background of the stream. They better be listening.
Why don't we do Nervy? He's doing some Resident Evil 4 remake.
We're gonna accidentally inspire the community activity just towards the end of these streams. Everyone's like, "Oh, huh. Guess I'll stream."
Okay. Yep. Thank you everyone for tuning in once again, and yeah, see ya.
Peace out.
Bye bye.